Hi, and welcome to the Truth About Your Migraine interview series. I am your host, Maria Heiken. In this installment of the series, we are exploring and discussing the undeniable connection between chronic migraine, or any chronic pain for that matter, but migraine in particular, and states of anxiety and depression. So today I'm really excited to have Holly Hazen with us. Holly, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. It's such a pleasure to have you here. Holly is a migraine coach. So she's gonna tell us all about the connection and, more importantly, strategies around how we can manage states of depression, states of anxiety, and pain, sometimes excruciating pain, and all this mixed together. So Holly, welcome. Maybe you want to say a couple more words about yourself, or maybe you want to just dive into the subject, your choice.
Oh, thanks for having me, Maria. This is definitely my pleasure. And I like to drive right in. So
all right, let's do it.
Okay?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so anxiety and depression are two of the most common comorbidities with migraine. So a comorbidity, as hard as it is to say, that's when two chronic conditions occur together. So comorbid conditions can occur independently. So it doesn't mean that they cause each other. They actually exist within their own realm. You know, they're a specific condition. But with anxiety and depression, they often come hand in hand with migraine, sadly, and with quite a few chronic pain syndromes. So just to give you some idea, only 10%, I shouldn't say only, 10% of the normal population will experience depression at some time in their lives. So at some time in their life, something will happen and they will experience a short or a longer period of depression. It won't be clinically diagnosed, but they'll experience depression. Now that statistic actually doubles with episodic migraine. So compared to the general population, it goes up to 20%. And it more than triples with chronic migraine. Now, if you have chronic pain, you can almost insert the word pain with migraine because chronic pain is probably even more of an epidemic than migraine. But migraine in particular is quite horrific. So that figure goes from 30 to 50% if you're chronic. Yeah. Wow. So, and of course, as that gets worse, the anxiety and depression rates can go up to 80%. So the longer you have chronic migraines, the more susceptible you are to experiencing anxiety and depression. So there's been some studies done with anxiety, and the rates are really similar. You know, so 8 to 10% in the general population, it doubles with episodic migraine, and it triples or more with chronic migraine.
Wow.
So sadly, here's just a few more
very
statistics.
sad statistics. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have migraine, insert chronic pain, you're 5 times more likely to develop depression. And if you have depression first, you're 3 times more likely to develop migraines.
Huh. Interesting.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So one condition kind of, I know I said earlier that they don't cause them. They don't cause them. You can have depression all on its own without migraines, without chronic pain, but these ones particularly are intermingled. And I think that's all because serotonin is involved. Yeah. So the neurotransmitters work on the similar systems, and any change in that system can lead you into a migraine attack, or it can lead to symptoms of depression. So,
right.
And of course, there's other things you need to consider, right? You need to consider the severity of each condition. So if you have severe migraines, that's going to increase your chance of having more severe anxiety and depression, and vice versa.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
plus,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just say, plus you have to add in, you know, life. You're going to experience different things at different places in your life.
Yeah, situations.
When you have, something might happen that just throws you a curveball. And maybe you're the type of person that has support. Maybe you have a huge family and they're all close and you have close friends and you can talk about things. You can talk about what's happening, really happening for you, or you may not.
Mm-hmm.
And that will influence your journey through anxiety and depression. So there's a lot of things you have to consider, like outside of the condition themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I'm definitely not, I don't have depressive tendencies without pain, if pain is not involved. And I haven't had a migraine attack for quite a while, so fingers crossed that it's going to continue this way, that I found my magic formula. But in the past, I often found myself in this kind of boot of feeling very sad and very, very apathetic during the migraine attack, especially if, not if it was a couple of hours, but with me, unfortunately, it was never a couple of hours. It was more like days or weeks or months, on end. So the longer the episode, the more down, the lower I would go. I would just like spiral in but the second pain lifted, the depression would lift too. So it felt for me that there was definitely some chemical reaction that was like right away the chemical balance restored. Boom, that's it. I'm ready to go. But it looks like for other situations it could be different, right? For other people, it doesn't necessarily have to be this, but it can be comorbid with other states.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that's perfectly normal with a migraine. Mm-hmm. Depression can actually be one of your symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Of course,
you can actually get really depressed right before an attack, and it just holds all the way through. Like you said, that's exactly what's happening. The chemicals are shifting, and you're back to normal as soon as the migraine's over.
Mm-hmm.
And with any chronic pain, that's quite common. The pain, I think what happens is it's absolutely normal and natural to worry about your next attack or to fall into that pit while you're having an attack. Your brain's actually programmed to be aware of your environment and like protect you from danger. And an attack is danger, right? The brain's just doing its job. Yeah. So where the problem comes in is for you were lucky. Well, not lucky. Let's go with lucky. Your thoughts would spiral into the negative, and then they would lift with the pain. I was quite similar. But the problems come in where they escalate to the point where they make your symptoms worse. You get more upset with being depressed. How you react to your own depression and anxiety is pretty important. Yeah. And if you spiral into, this is where the danger comes, where you start to spiral into hopelessness and helplessness because you just think there's no hope for the future. I mean, I have to say I struggled with a lot of suicidal thoughts for a period of about 8 years. I didn't have any effective painkillers. So I had migraines before there were triptans, before the internet. So there was no shared knowledge. And I just sat in this pit for quite a while. Is it too early to talk about suicide?
No, it's never too early, unfortunately. Yeah. And I can totally relate to that because my first I had migraines since I was a child, but the really, really bad migraine, the first one that happened when I was about 34, 35, it lasted for about 5 months. And definitely during that period, more than once I had entertained. I didn't really plan. It wasn't a very meticulous thought. I didn't have the energy for that, but I definitely thought about, oh my God, it would be so much easier if I could just end this misery, just. Yeah. So you've struggled with it for 8 years, you said? Wow. Yeah. So how did you deal with that?
Well, interestingly enough, as we change our path with migraine in it. I became a counselor and worked on a suicide hotline. I didn't do that because I had that all kind of happened before I got there. And one really big distinction I was able to make at that time was that I don't want to end my life. I just want to stop the pain.
That is very important.
Two different things. You don't want your life to end. You just don't want to suffer pain. And I think for myself, I probably spent a lot more years thinking the pain would kill me rather than suicidal thoughts, because I thought there's nobody can live through this pain. This is nuts. You know,
so it's more of a fear of having an illness that could potentially kill you, and it could,
Yeah. And so I think that touches a little bit more on what I said before, where you let your symptoms kind of get the worst of you, and you actually start to believe them on some level, which it's not good. So we're going to get to that. We're going to talk to that point of what treatments yield the best.
Okay. Well,
what treatments yield the best results, But just to just doing the research for our talk, I found some really interesting studies on medication use and suicide risk. So just going back to suicide for a minute. So the statistics I have are American. I just kind of they use quite good study populations, so you kind of have to generalize it for your own country. I'm in Australia, so I can only assume that the rates are similar, but they're saying that Americans who have migraine with aura are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than those compared to the normal population, whether or not depression is present.
So just the pain,
Yeah, I think our our brains are really trying to work the best they can with all the pressure and the chemical changes that are going on. I really do. So if you can kind of dismiss those things while you're having a migraine or a chronic pain, it would be really helpful. But we're going to probably work through that as well. Yay!
All right. Yeah, exciting.
But this study I found was published in JAMA. So that's the Journal of the American Medical Association. And they did a study with the top 5 medications that are used for migraine. But what they did is they used quite a large population. So I'm just going to read this out. So they used nearly 300,000 people who suffer from migraines, chronic pain, bipolar disorder, and epilepsy. And they began taking one of 13 different anticonvulsants. So none of the patients or participants before that had any history of suicidal behavior, not one. After 180 days, 26 patients committed suicide and 801 attempted. It's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking.
Wow.
So, yeah, are we actually allowed to mention the medications? I don't want to have a liability suit or anything.
I have no idea. You can mention it, and well, I mean, it's just an idea, right?
Yeah, I'll just mention the top 2 used in the study. It's the study.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just reading the study. Yeah. So gabapentin had a 40% higher risk than Topamax. So that's topiramate. Now, gabapentin it's associated with the highest risk of suicide. It's also one of the most frequently prescribed anticonvulsants for migraines. I have a friend that takes gabapentin for a chronic pain condition. So it's very widely used, and it was one of the top ones with the suicide rates, and followed by topiramate, which is Topamax. So those are the 2 probably most frequently medications prescribed for migraines.
Yes, Topamax, of course. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I actually had that experience before I knew anything of this with topiramate, and I'm really lucky that my doctor allowed me to go off it after about 3 weeks. So I guess I wanted to bring that up, because if you're having if you're having more suicidal thoughts, even so, topiramate is a prophylactic, so you would take it all the time. You wouldn't take it with an acute attack. If you find yourself experiencing more suicidal thoughts than usual, or before you went on the medication, I strongly urge you to just work closely with your doctor on that and be aware of that part.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for bringing it up. And so you worked at on the suicidal line.
Yes, I did. Yeah, for 16 years I did that.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, so what that did after reading that brought me to, okay, let's talk about natural solutions. So I wrote down some really key natural solutions that I would like to share with you.
Please do. Mm-hmm.
So with depression, we'll do a little bit on depression, then work a little bit on anxiety and get to what treatments will help if you have all three conditions. So, but so the natural solutions I really like for depression, one of the most common ones is St. John's wort. Now, I don't actually recommend that. I don't agree with it. It actually interacts with too many medications. So obviously, if you're already on it and it's working for you and it's not interacting with any of your medications, obviously stay on that. But another supplement I like, and I actually have it here, is SAMI, the S-adenosylmethionine. SAMI.
Oh,
it's S-adenosylmethionine. Can you see? Have I got it?
Yes. Yeah.
SAMI. You can just get it at iHerb. You don't need a script. Obviously, with any natural supplements, now I'm not a doctor or naturopath. Make sure you talk with your doctor or a professional before taking any of these. But I'm just giving you ideas. You can do some research and see what feels right for you or what works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So SAMI is huge. SAMI actually works on the serotonin, on the neurotransmitter pathways associated with migraine. So it could have the potential to reduce your attacks as well. Vitamin D is a good one. Inositol is quite good, or like any of the B groups. B12 is pretty huge. B2 is huge. They use for migraine. And I think one of the key things with depression is movement. You have to move the body. It's, with anxiety, you're wired, you're high, you're thinking, you're stressed, everything's up. With depression, everything's down, it's stuck, it's drained.
Yeah.
So even a little bit of movement can help lift depression. And that's probably one of the most important things if you have depression that you can do. Even if it's getting up and just going to sit outside in the sun, or going to sit somewhere in nature, or doing something that you enjoy but don't want to interact, make a cup of tea or something.
Right.
Just moving, a little bit of movement can help.
The question is, how do you have any suggestions on how do you motivate yourself to do it? Because sometimes, when you are already in this state of depression and you're already in your bed and you don't want to get out of bed, and on top of it you have pain and you kind of have an excuse, not to get out of pain because, out of bed because, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. But really you could, and it would be good for you, but you are using the pain for, I know I did, not widely, but sometimes, sometimes I think we all do use it as a little bit of an excuse to not do some things that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
So do you have any suggestions as to how to get yourself out, or maybe not to just how to not go deep enough to to emerge nicely, fluidly?
Yeah. That's a bit. We probably could have done our whole talk on that part.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So there's three things. You can distract your mind. If you can, with a migraine, you can't really do that.
No.
You can give yourself permission to just stay in bed. Just give yourself permission to be where you are. You don't have to get up. You don't have to go make a cup. You don't have to. You can stay exactly where you are and just give yourself permission to heal or pout or be sad or whatever it is you want to do. Just let go of all the pressure of having to be different than where you are. I do a lot of my therapy is called, I use a focusing technique, and that's about saying hello. Saying hello to the depression. Oh my God, I'm sad. Saying hello to the sadness. Just being there for, and the third one is, where do you find the motivation? You have to, and I know this is hard when you're sitting in a pit of depression, but you just have to do it. You have to go, right, I'm going to make this change. I want to get better. I need to go move it. You just have to take responsibility and move.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. You just have to. So there's those kind of things where, and that's almost on a spectrum where, you have to be kind to yourself, be gentle, but at the same time, get up and
disciplined. Yeah. So that's why I think
you could probably give them a simple yoga posture.
Yeah.
To sit and do in bed, that would help, because that's just a little bit of and then a little bit of movement, then there's a bit more motivation.
Exactly. And then you kind of little by little you get yourself out of this. And with yoga especially, I see people come to yoga a lot, people who have depression and chronic pain and migraine and depression, and of course having this discipline to do it on a daily basis, no matter what your condition is, just like brushing teeth, that, so to kind of create a nice base for yourself is important. Well, anyway, I give the floor back to you, so that I'm just, as you talk, I am it's so also interesting. So it's
it's fascinating. Yeah, I was just thinking of what you said is an interesting thing. I have written in my book about having an anchor. So, like you said, it's like brushing your teeth. So, doing something right after you brush your teeth. Anchor it to something you do every day. After you have a shower, I'm going to do some stretching. It might only be 3 stretches, but I'm going to touch my toes. I mean, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to run a marathon. I'm not talking about movement like that. I'm just talking about moving a little bit and getting the actual physical energy in your body moving. Yeah. So, but I'm sure we can have a whole conversation.
Yes. Well, we'll have more conversations in the future. So let's go back to our.
And actually, as we speak, I'm kind of writing a course just for depression. So I'm going to cover some of those things.
That's great.
In the course. So just
is it going to be an online course? What is it?
Yeah, it'll be online.
That's awesome. So guys, pay attention. I guess we'll
watch the space.
Yeah, watch the space and Holly's website, and I know I will too, to make sure that I can recommend it to people. Okay, well that's awesome.
So sorry. So now probably some natural solutions for anxiety. You'll be happy with this one. Breathing techniques. I think I was studying for 10 years. The top thing that always comes with anxiety is breathing techniques. So we're going to go over 2 of my favorites in a minute. Relaxation techniques are essential. And another supplement-wise, I like GABA. Are you familiar with GABA?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. The proper. Yeah. So it's gamma aminobutyric acid. I think that's the way you say it. But it's GABA. And it's really, really useful for anxiety. So again, we were talking about depression. You need to move. Anxiety, you're already high and wired. You need to calm down. Yeah. So yoga would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of.
Well, sorry, I have too many questions.
No, it's perfect.
But just to how you read the study on the most prescribed medications and supplements, I just want to give a bit of a warning on supplements as well, because sometimes there are no studies on supplements, and they are also substances that we put in our body. So also to, like Holly said before, make sure you talk to your doctor and make sure that you also do a lot of research, because I recently learned that, for example, there is a special stamp on supplements that I think it's called USP or UPS or something. I'm going to have to go back research, and maybe I'll post a link here. But unless the supplement has the stamp, that means that it's not really researched at all. So you don't know what's in there, and it sounds like great, it's natural, but who knows? So just a word of caution, to be really discerning with everything. Yeah,
I totally agree. And if you think about it, most of our medications came from natural herbs and plants, which are no supplements. So to me, it's the same thing. You're still altering, like the Sammy I mentioned before, you are altering your body chemicals. You have to be careful. It's the same as medication as far as I'm concerned. You have to work with your doctor, like you said, or a naturopath or a professional healthcare practitioner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Danger.
Yes, if our brain doesn't think that there is danger everywhere already, so we need to calm us down, not to create more of it. But anyway, going back to anxiety, so breathing.
Yeah, just a couple of things. So with reducing anxiety, there's two really incredibly great breathing techniques. So the interesting thing about anxiety is it only takes 10 seconds to turn the activation around. So if you can catch it early enough, as with migraine, if you can catch it early enough, you're going to have more effective treatment in aborting the pain phase. But with anxiety, if you can take action at that first thought, like, oh, my migraines are getting worse, or my meds aren't working, whatever raises your anxiety, as soon as you feel that, do this. So you just breathe out for 10 seconds. So the long exhale is going to calm your nervous system. That's the key, is that long exhale. So breathe out for 10 seconds and then just let the air come back in like a balloon. Just let it come in, and then a big exhale again and count to 10. So, and that's enough probably to get you started, but if you can do it as long as you need to, but just make sure if you can catch it early. A good thing too is if you're going through a period of anxiety and you're going to be anxious all day, or if you're at work, to do it through the day. Don't wait till you get stressed out. Do it through the day. Get your body used to reacting and calming down instead of spiraling. Stopping the brain spiraling into any kind of catastrophe that it likes to pick for the day.
I love that. So again, like creating a habit for the brain and for the body to be calm and to respond to whatever stress comes your way versus knee-jerk reaction. That's very cool.
Yeah, and the minute you feel that, try to breathe. All you have to do is breathe out. I mean, you can be around people; they're not going to know you're counting to 10.
Yes.
Unless you do it loudly, but yeah. But another one, absolute favorite of mine, is from the book The Last Best Cure by Donna Jackson Nakazawa. She talks about, she spent a year doing alternative therapies to heal her body, and she's talking about yoga, and she's in this standing mountain pose doing this breathing, or doing this little technique, but you don't need to be in mountain pose. You can be, I've tried it sitting, standing, lying down, it works. All you need to do is touch your fingers to your lips, and as if you're saying shh, so shh.
Like this.
Small child, like shh, shh. I do too sometimes, but you almost feel your chest dropping. And then what happens is by touching your lips, you're stimulating that parasympathetic, the nerve fibers that line them, and it just calms right in. And it couldn't be easier.
Yes, I know.
And shh helps too. If you just go shh, that calms.
That's a nice one. Wow, that's a nice one.
I loved it. I read the book thinking, no, why doesn't everybody know this? This is fantastic.
I know, yeah. I'm actually surprised. I don't know this. I know so many little tricks about breathing, and wow. So thank you. Yes, thank you for that. And now I have a new trick in my bag. But wow, this is great. So it just stimulates the relaxation response of the body. Amazing.
And another one that works a little bit more probably with depression is just putting your hand on your chest.
Yes.
That one can calm. It's more of a nurturing movement, but sometimes with migraine you can't think straight, so you just have to have some simple little things that help you shift a little bit. And I guess the other two things to do with anxiety are, number one, have a plan B. That always reduces anxiety. Especially if you have migraines and you're trying to make plans to do something, if you have a plan B in case you get a migraine, it's going to actually reduce anxiety. And the other one is to form a really good pain management plan. I know that's hard. A lot of people do not like taking medications, but if you're in the chronic spectrum of migraine, you are more likely than not going to need medications. And if you work with your doctor or your healthcare provider to find what works, then you have an option. You can use it or not. But when you're really, really desperate and you're writhing in pain, at least you have something you can go to. And so having that, but even just having that plan will reduce anxiety.
Of course. Of course, that makes perfect sense
simple.
because your brain already knows. And yeah, that's the thing, that most of the time simplest things work. And that's great, but we kind of can't believe it. We're always trying to look for complicated and very sophisticated solutions, whereas the solutions are right here, here, and everything is at our disposal. We just have to make it a habit, and so that in the extreme situation, you don't have to grasp for it, right? But it's already available as a response. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. And I guess I'm talking to you about an instant action in the moment when you feel it. So as soon as you feel a bit depressed, putting your hand to your heart, not waiting till you're sobbing, acting quickly to be gentle to yourself.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Yes. Absolutely. That's a very good reminder.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't notice which state, and that's the thing. That's a big issue is that a lot of times we're just on such an overdrive that we don't really know. Sometimes even the pain, when it comes, it's already too late. It's already like banging. It's not a little whisper. It's already some serious shriek, And the same with anxiety or depression, that it could be, you need to really train yourself to notice much more in the moment, like you're saying. Yeah, that's a very good reminder.
Yeah. And those three conditions, migraine, anxiety, and depression, they all have that in common. You have to act fast. If you take your abortive medications when you're already in the pain phase, or I used to wait till I was about level 3 out of 10, they don't work that effectively. You need to take them as soon as you get your first warning signal. So I guess now we get to the best part, is like what treatments yield the best results for all three conditions. So if you kind of put them all in one pot, there's 4 treatments that work best. And I have to say that I work really only with evidence-based skills and supplements and medication. So even though I'm not a doctor or naturopath, I do always look at the evidence base now, because there's so many studies being done on all of this. One in particular, Dawn Buse, does some amazing work, and she's done a study on this with migraines. And she did a study with relaxation, CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and biofeedback alone, and compared that to a single migraine medication alone. And their efficacy rates were the same, which I thought was interesting. But when they combined that with medication, they got an 80% efficacy rate.
Wow.
Now that's huge. So these are the 4 treatments that work best, okay? Relaxation, biofeedback, CBT, which is that cognitive behavioral therapy. It's going to stop that negative mind spiraling, and finding the proper migraine medication for you those are going to yield the best results. So those are
That's
the core
obvious.
treatments. So number one is getting the right medication. And I mean the right medication that aborts the attack for you. So that might be a bit trial and error. But as I mentioned, it's worth pursuing, because then you can use it when you want to. I mean, technically you should use it all the time to abort the attack. If they're severe, you're probably going to go that path. Alternatively, if you have an alternative therapy that works, then you put that in. That's the number one thing you do. And then learning CBT to stop that negative mindset, because you really can. CBT has quite good evidence for the transformation of your brain and the way it thinks and how you see things. It's really good. And then the third one is learning stress management skills. So that might be diaphragmatic breathing, guided imagery, yoga, tai chi, qigong.
Yes.
Yeah. But learning what reduces your stress is huge. And the fourth one is learning biofeedback. Now, Don Buse, who did this study, is a biofeedback expert with mine. But the studies that have been done are quite huge. The results are very positive with migraine, anxiety, and depression. In a recent study with children and adolescents, the CBT and the biofeedback actually outperformed the medications. So I would guess that, as we were talking about calming down that nervous system for a child, you can actually reduce and avoid the attack altogether, and allow, if they do need to take medications, allow them to work better.
That is
so it's just
really great.
To me it's interesting, because you think, I don't know about you, but for a long time I was either or. I either did the alternative route and just shunned medication.
Yes.
But really with migraine, you need to look at both, obviously, with your doctor.
Yes. Wow, so, this is really great. Those are awesome suggestions. Really great guidance.
And I think I feel like I just want to maybe mention some key points as well that might help understand a little bit the connection. So you might be doing all this stuff, and you're maybe you're targeting your anxiety and your depression, but the migraines aren't lessening at all. They're not, your frequency, nothing's shifting. But you notice that a couple of symptoms improve with the depression or the anxiety. Well, the good news is, if one improves, they're all going to improve. So if you can get, when you spend time focusing on your migraine, if you can get your migraine under better control, the others will get better as well. And if, so just say you can get the depression a bit better, the anxiety will lift. So I'm saying that, and I can almost hear people going, no, it won't, no. But like, they've done studies, and they're that linked, these three kind of comorbid conditions, that you can just tackle one, and that will help the other ones.
Yeah, like domino effect.
You can do them all at once. Yeah.
Just tackle
and
one.
I feel like
this is really, really great. This is really great to know that this is, because sometimes it's overwhelming when you have all three conditions, especially at the same time. Like, how do you even start to approach this? So just knowing that one will pull the other two, and it makes sense, because if it is a chemical reaction, of course, if it's all the same chemicals are involved, so whenever you increase, balance it out to whatever level you need, it will all stabilize. I mean, it's very simplistic, obviously. It's not as simple as that, but
I was just going to say that it's not always that simple. You may have another condition that means you are going to be, you may be diagnosed with clinical depression or something more severe, and it may not shift. But generally, if you can learn the skills to deal with depression, it will affect the other areas. So I actually have a few points that I have these like basic 101 survival skills for everyone with migraines. And I think if I could share those too, that it's like everybody should think about these healthy lifestyle practices. But so the first one with migraines in particular is to develop and maintain a routine. So the migraine brain likes routine. So in the sleeping, eating, and exercise areas, I mean, sleeping, just for example, don't sleep in on the weekends. Just have the same routine throughout the week and get good quality sleep. It's essential that your sleeping will affect all three of those conditions. If you get really poor quality sleep, it's just going to exacerbate everything else. The other thing is to eat healthy wherever you can. I mean, if you can afford organic, that would be great. But packaged foods, if you can stay away from packaged foods, they have so many sugars and hidden sugars and preservatives and chemicals, who knows what. If you can stay away from them, it'd be really beneficial to eat healthy. And the other one, stay hydrated. That we could probably have a whole talk on that, because that's tricky.
Yes.
Hydration is not just about water, it's about your body weight, how much you should drink, and the salt. You should probably add salt, and there's electrolytes. So staying hydrated and the right kind of hydration for you is essential. And managing stress, which we've already talked about, and exercise. I just have to call out exercise. There have been so many studies done now that absolutely prove without a doubt exercise reduces migraine. The frequency, the intensity. So if you can, obviously not while you're having a migraine, but and exercise obviously helps anxiety and depression. We kind of know that.
Yes.
But with migraine in particular, one of the studies proved that you actually have to have quite active exercise, not passive. So you have to break a sweat. So even if you go for a walk, you need to kind of walk far enough or fast enough to break a sweat. And that's going to start, as long as you're sweating a little, that's going to affect the migraine.
So does it count if you live in a hot climate like me and you're just sweating without
sweating anyway?
Your heart rate, does it count or no?
Well, interestingly enough, I moved from a cold climate to Australia, and I didn't hydrate for years, and my migraines were horrendous. And when I made the shift to salt and water, it shifted the migraines. So hydration's key. Yeah. So maybe not as much exercise for you that breaks a sweat, because even walking would make you sweat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I just wonder, is it about breaking sweat in general or about increasing the heart rate? What it is about.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That study did not say that, but I would have to go with maybe increasing the heart rate.
Yeah, it would seem logical. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I recently started drinking in the morning kind of warm water with juice of a whole lemon and a pinch of baking soda, and that is really that has helped me, and it tastes really good. And because I just can't drink so much water, I need really electrolytes in this climate. Yeah.
Yeah. I think most of us do. We haven't learned that yet. The whole thing is drink water. So we drink water, and now the education has come about what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so you need the minerals.
Yeah, minerals, and for me it's salt.
Salt.
I'll try that.
Yeah, because you know what, it makes it fizzy, so it's also kind of fun to drink it, because the baking soda with lemon, you first do this and then you add, and it's all, and you feel very festive in the morning, and everything is good. It's
wonderful.
It's just fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That's important too, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That bring you especially a little bit of joy. Is talking about depression.
Yeah, definitely. Do what you can. If you can find 5 minutes every day to do what you love, it'll probably affect your depression. If you can. Like you said, it's hard, when you're in the pit. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but good that there's so many opportunities now. I'm just going back to what you said, that when your migraine started, there was no internet, so there was no support communities, there were no programs like this, there were no migraine coaches, and but even just there's so many Facebook support groups that you can talk to people and just ask advice, or you can hire a coach and they will you can be like handheld every day. So there are so many opportunities right now to be guided. I think that we live really in a nice era for that, to not feel.
And I think that's really important. That's really important, to find your tribe. Find people you can talk with that don't overreact or think you're being ridiculous. The people that don't get migraines, Paula Dumas from Migraine Again always says, people who don't get migraines don't get migraines.
Yes, that's right.
People don't understand. If they don't have anxiety, they don't understand. If they don't get depression, they don't understand. It's really hard for them to understand unless you've been there.
Absolutely. And sometimes, it's important to just mention it, to talk about it, but without trying to fix it. Just to say, yeah, I'm depressed. Yeah, I'm anxious. Yeah, I have a migraine. But a lot of people who are not in those conditions or have never experienced this, they think that by you saying that equals asking for help. And sometimes it's just sharing, right? And so... especially with chronic conditions that sometimes cannot be lifted easily, like, oh yeah, let me just quickly fix it for you, put you in a dark room or whatever it is, and then you feel almost guilty that, oh, your migraine didn't go away, oh my god, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and guilt is probably, we could do another talk on guilt.
Yes,
that it's huge.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Huge, the guilt that comes with, and grief and loss. Mourning the life. You didn't dream when you were a little girl. When I'm a little girl, oh, when I want to grow up, I'm gonna have a chronic illness.
Like deal with it for the rest of the life.
Exactly. And you don't wake up in the morning and go, oh yeah, I hope I have a migraine today. Yay! You just don't. You don't do that. And I think people, they just don't understand. They really don't. And the other thing too, I think, is we're not trained. I've spent, I don't know how many years training now for this, but learning coping skills and tools and all that. I guess that's one thing I would say, a takeaway too, is if you do have all three of these conditions, if you can take the time to see a psychologist or a counselor, like myself, they've all trained. Minimum of kind of 4 to 5 years, and then for me, it's been well over 20. So I've trained my whole life for this. So there's a lot of coping skills and tools and techniques to share. And if you're somewhere, your doctor's the first port of call for that. Asking them who's available. The community centers sometimes have free counselors. There's help online, different helplines. So just ask your doctor, maybe even Google it. But there is a lot of help if you're really depressed and really anxious, just online, that you can access for free.
Well, yeah, thank you for this mention. This is very important.
Okay, so now let's get to the process. I really think journaling is an effective way to express your emotions in a safe space. And the bonus is that writing actually helps your brain make sense of where you are. So I don't know, I haven't seen any studies done on typing into the computer. I know a lot of us use laptops, notepads, but the actual physical action of writing helps you connect. So when I say writing, I actually mean writing on a piece of paper. So
with a pen.
Oh yay! I was just going to say, if you want to take a little time out to go and get a blank piece of paper to write on, we might be going a bit fast just for time constraints, but if you can just write down the first two levels. Actually, I'll tell you a little bit more about it before we get to that. So the reason why journaling is so effective is because you may not want to share those really strong emotions you have from the intense pain with others. Not a lot of people can even hear the word suicide without panicking. So I think you have to be quite careful who you talk with, who you talk to. Plus, you might just be ashamed of the things you're thinking and feeling.
True. Mm-hmm.
They're really intense. I know for me, I do not know, in my personal life, do not know a single individual who deals with migraines. Not one. I have clients. I know a lot of people online, but within my circle. So all those years all 26 plus years, not a soul could I speak to about, certainly not suicidal thoughts, that's for sure. So I think this process is just a really good process to help you work a little bit with yourself and find out where you are and work on a couple of things. So the letter's actually inspired by the work of Barbara DeAngelis. She's a PhD in all this. And her technique deals with 6 levels involved in healing anger. And each level has 2 feelings associated with it. So that's why I was saying, when we're going through it, maybe just write down the 2 feelings and you can come back to it later, or you can pause the video, whatever works for you. And also, I actually recommend keeping 2 different journals. I keep a positive journal and a negative journal. So the positive journal is when I'm in a really good space and I write to myself all these beautiful things I want to do, or whatever it is that is positive. Now the negative one needs to get shredded. So this one we're going to do, even though it's not negative, I want you to do it so that you're writing it. No one else is going to see it. It's actually just for you. And at the end, you're going to shred it. So I also don't believe in keeping the negative energy in your house.
So in a way, you're basically kind of physically transferring it from inside your brain or body through the pen and paper, and then you're physically discarding the paper, and that is some kind of ritual that helps you get rid of it.
Yes. You could do a whole ritual around it if you'd like, safely. If you want to get crystals, do a little spell with a little thing you can burn it in that's all safe, you could do that too. But I find shredding it just as effective. But absolutely write it as if nobody else is going to see it. It's really just about you getting really honest with yourself and the migraines. So, so would you like to do this process with me live?
Yes, sure. So I will be sharing.
You'd like to share? Okay.
I mean, well, let's see what I come up with. Maybe I will say.
Let's see what. I would like to say that it's up to you. If you find something's a little bit too emotional, then just don't share it. I actually have mine here. I can share mine too. So, yeah. Ooh.
Well, let me try to share, and then if I don't want to share, then I'll let you know.
The next one.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll need about half an hour, so probably best to put that in the next video.
Yes, so guys, we'll do a separate video, and it's right below this one. So if you want to do a guided journaling process right now live, and I will be sharing my my results or my insights or whatever comes to my mind live, so that you can see and do it. We can do it together. So do that. If you want to skip that, then we'll just go ahead and thank Holly for all this wonderful information. Incredible, absolutely incredible talk. Thank you so much for being here. And I know that besides all this amazing research that you've done for this talk and shared with us, and all the insights that you had for us, you also have a gift for the audience. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I have a 5-week free course on natural solutions for migraines. And yeah, you just have to sign up, and that'll come to your inbox once a week for 5 weeks.
Oh, that's great. And thank you so much. This is just too much goodness. Well,
Too
not
much
too much.
goodness? Oh,
Just
good.
enough. Just enough. And well, thank you so much. And again, the link to the free gift, the link to the 5-week course by Holly is also below this video. So now you have 2 links, one with the video or with the course, and the other one with the video of the process if you want to join us. So thank you so much. I hope that we can have like all these little talks that you said, oh, we can have a whole talk on that. Oh, we can have a whole talk on that subject. So I hope we have them all at some point, and I hope you return to our audience and share some other amazing information that you have, that you've accumulated and continue to learn through your own process.
Thank you. That would be my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And thank you so much, guys, for watching this program and for being dedicated enough to your well-being to take the time out of your day to be here and watch it and keep this hope going that the solution is somewhere out there. So may we all be free from pain and suffering. Thank you.